Hey guys, how's it going? December 5th, 2019. I just wanted to give you a really quick update here. I don't want to be yapping too long. I could have probably put this on my Wikia, but I decided now let me just speak to you and just to say that everything is hunky dory fine. The last live stream I did was Sunday night, and it was not a fun experience, to say the least. Um, but those are the type of things that I should have known better. Um, I guess, how would I say this? And I'm making this less quick than I wanted to. I guess with T-SCAD and the amount of time it was under. First of all, I wasn't going to get T-SCAD. At first, I was like, I'm not getting this. I'm not going to pay money to it. But then the price went down a little bit, and I thought, okay, we'll see what happens. And, I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And figuring that the price was down. Then, so this is what happened. I got the base program. I was trying to figure out what was going on Sunday. I really, there wasn't much of a decision that was being made on the southwest end. Hold on a second. Not a Canadian holiday, but I had a great vacation booked off. So yeah, I was down in Buffalo. Buffalo area, Niagara Falls. So that was cool. So it was nice. But anyways, so yeah, what was I saying? I shouldn't have been looking at the chat. That's my fault. But yeah, buyer beware. You've got to. My normal theory on these things is don't buy something right away. Wait until you see what happens. Wait until you see how it looks. And I even was asking that, but then when I realized that most of the people who were going to be on the Southwest server had T-SCAD, I thought, well, I want to be part of that. I don't want to be sticking out like a sore thumb. So I decided to get myself into this, and then we weren't too sure on how we were going to do the divisions because the divisions were all screwy in comparison to, say, an external dispatcher. Now, I shouldn't be fair. It's not screwy. It's just the desks were a little bit different than what we were used to seeing or what we were used to doing. In fact, they were much more prototypical, to be quite honest. Although there was a north and south Mojave, I didn't understand that. I guess just to fit a screen, but whatever. Somehow, what I was doing before was an external dispatch. You may recall I was doing the Cajon sub, and I was doing the UP Mojave sub, and I was, I believe, doing part of the BNSF Bakersfield up to Bakersfield itself because I didn't have the actual Bakersfield sub route. So that was fine. Unfortunately, with the new setup, I couldn't do any of the Bakersfield sub, so I could only do the UP Mojave sub. I continued not to do anything BNSF on the Mojave sub, and I also did not do the Cajon sub this time around. Instead, because I was kind of taking a short end, they wanted to give me something else, because they only wanted to do 3 dispatchers instead of 4. So I guess they wanted me to do LA. So I looked at it and I thought, okay, well, I guess I'll buy LA. And I did. So I bought LA. And as it turns out, that's probably going to be the one purchase that's going to be the least used, if not. The only advantage of having that is you get to see what's coming up. So I think I'm heading towards buying Cajon, possibly. It's only $10. I may do it. I may not do it right away because at least next Sunday we are not having anything going on. They're having this coming Wednesday, they're going to have another session instead because they can't do it on Sunday. So they could figure out, do a 3-man group or whatever they want to do, and then we'll see where I fit in next, the following Sunday. But I'm willing to try again. Hopefully, some of these bugs are fixed by then, or at least, well, I'm not going to, you never know. I don't know how much work's involved in them. The software, in my opinion, and I really didn't get to talk too much about this, and I know this is supposed to be a quick update, but hell, I'm yapping, why not? Let's just keep going with it. The software to me seems, it seems beta-like. It doesn't seem, I mean, I would say it was a strong beta. I would say it's not really a true tested product, considering the amount of time it was in beta, which is kind of surprises me, but at the same time, I understand the reasons why, because I know where it's been tested. Or at least I have a pretty good idea where it's been tested. This has been tested, from what I can tell, on servers that are very high on either Discord or TeamSpeak. Because if you were watching what I was doing, you'll notice a few things. Number one, they're not using text. Because if they're using text, that would have drove them absolutely crazy. Channel 0, people come on to Channel 0 all the time, and that thing starts flashing, you have a message, you have a message. That's the beauty about text messages. In every other, like whether it be the actual SIM itself, or the F3 dispatch screen, or even external dispatcher, that's the beautiful thing about it. It's non-intrusive. This is where I don't like voice communication, because voice communication itself is intrusive. The dispatching experience or the running of the train experience should not be intrusive. Yes, I'm okay with it if I hear people in my area. And that's the thing that people don't understand about my feelings towards having the audio, or feeling my how I feel towards having audio. First of all, having any type of audio program is just another program to add it, and this is a resource issue. We're having resource issues with some of the humps I've seen. So I've seen resource issues with Run A, especially some of the bigger hump like Waycross. I've had resource issues with that personally. I don't have those issues with California. And that's probably because it's a smaller hump and there's not as much graphics involved. I don't know if that's the reason or not. But anyways, there's some type of resource base issue happening, because I first of all, I thought at first it was my internet connection. I don't think it has anything to do with my internet connection, because as it turns out, the host had the same issues. Well, if the host is having the same issues, and I know he's got a strong internet connection, guess what? It's a resource base issue, because he had so many people on and he was running, as opposed to just having a server. He's actually running. The big difference with some of the testing that's probably was going on was it was being tested on servers that other people were hosting but not dispatching. I don't know, I'm just guessing. I'm trying to figure out how this made it. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out how. I understand some of the known issues. That's fine. Known issues will always come up. But there's stuff here that is coming up that is literally widespread. I'm not talking about the people who don't have this product or don't have that product. I understand that. I can understand that, possibly not making it. It is a known issue, and I know that's going to be fixed. We certainly had those known issues happen, because Kern Junction was a mess. Nobody could get that thing to clear, whether it be the host of the server or whatever. We had a hell of a time. I kept on getting pop-up boxes coming up. It was a mess. So any connecting. I don't know how they're going to do that. The only way I can see it even being remotely possible is if I get the Cajon sub, but I'm still going to have an issue with Bakersfield unless I buy the root Bakersfield. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go buy a bunch of stuff. Oh, Wednesday session's been canceled. Mike just wants to wait till next Sunday. Okay, so that's cool. So, yeah, hopefully, well, then that keeps everything status quo, and we'll see what happens. But at least it doesn't mix up the dispatchers and kind of keeps me out of the loop, because I don't know where I'll fit in at this point, unless we go to 4 dispatchers. But it's going to be crazy, because as long as I'm in there, I really don't know. I actually, come to think about it, the more I think about it, perhaps, and this is just my idea, I'd be better off getting Cajon, buy the $10, and dispatch the middle. So I could dispatch BNSF. Well, yeah, but then it's a question of who wants to do what. Well, yeah, no. Let's say I got LA, so all I have to do is get Cajon. So if I have the middle, at least then I could dispatch BNSF Bakersfield. I could dispatch all the way up to Mineola, and then all the way south down Cajon to transfer off to LA. That to me, and I'm going to recommend that. If they want to go with it, that's up to them. But that's really the only thing I can see myself doing. Because if I'm in the Mojave, I have to split off with somebody who's doing Bakersfield, which I don't have. If I was on the East End, I'd have to split off with somebody who has Seligman. If I'm in LA, well, LA is just a friggin' mess for me. I'm not used to LA. Even though I had it for a while and I was doing things, I'm just not familiar with it. I don't run it enough. It's a very complex territory. Trying to figure out where everything is, it's too much. It's not very linear, so it's one of those things where it's not anybody's fault, but my lack of knowledge, and I was ill prepared for it. And you got to know what's going on. Whereas Barstow, even Barstow Needles, I'm familiar with those areas. I'm familiar with the trains that go through there. I'm familiar with what trains are going to go south, or sorry, we're going to continue to go west. What's going to go north at the west end of Barstow. I'm familiar with that. I'm familiar with the ones that are going to go around the bend. I'm familiar, that kind of thing. I'll be fine with. So I'll put the recommendation in there. I got plenty of time for that. But as I was saying, this was the reason why this text box issue is nobody uses text. Nobody uses text. Whatever server this was being tested on was mainly being done, in my opinion, voice. Because if that text was coming up constantly, there should have been some type of setting in there to turn off channel 0, because it's just annoying as hell. Put me on channel whatever, all of a sudden I don't have the pop-up boxes. And then if I get a tone, even though the fact that I think toning would tone everything, that's another thing that was suggested. It'd be better to have the people logged on only get the boxes if it tones in their area, which makes perfect sense for logging in, right? So, but I'm okay with that. That's a small thing. So, you get toned, then you go to the channel. It's as simple as that. If you're in the simulator, you hijack an engine, even though you're not running. You hijack an engine. You turn it to the channel that, like for example, we normally use channel 1 for dispatcher communications. That way, when I hear a beep, I know somebody's trying to contact on channel 1, so I would stay on 1 most of the time, and then every time there was a message on 1, we would know what's going on. A lot of extra communications were going on because of the handoffs, because of all the issues that were taking place. So yeah, I was down. The reason why I really wanted to get to this update was not about TSCAD. The big thing is the RTS stuff and what else is happening. I said at one point that I was going to go right into Sunday with my normal server stuff with Scott and myself. That didn't happen. I did not sleep well on, was it Saturday now? Wait, I'm getting confused here. Sorry, not Sunday. Monday, I should say. So Sunday night was a horrible night's sleep. I don't know if it was originally triggered by the stress that I was under uh, for whatever reason, but I also had some other underlying health issues that I'm dealing with, minor things, nothing major, just age. And I actually went to a doctor's appointment today, and I'm actually feeling better the last few days. I made a few changes at home, regards for comfort and that. So that's really starting to go on the positive side. So I'm all fine and looking forward to possibly this Sunday as opposed to next Monday because I'm busy this coming Monday. I may take Sunday. Scott hasn't replied yet, and I haven't really verified if I'm going to do it or not. By the sounds of it, I'm going to be going to Brantford with my son tomorrow, which means I'll get that out of my fix. So I'm trying to shoot for Sunday night to do another Barstow again and further things along. And of course, I have some other ideas that are on the back of my mind. I've meant to talk to my son because he's supposed to get information from some of his friends, believe it or not, at school about various concepts that I have on the back burner for 2020. And those are going to be some big deals, I think, much bigger. And we also know one last thing. And this is good information, whether or not it's disappointing for those that are looking for version 3. Personally, I don't care. Well, I do and I don't. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see some new regions come into play. I'd like to see, wow, this is a really quick update for 17 minutes. Oh, well. I'd like to see some new regions come into play, not new routes. If we're adding more routes to the regions, I mean, no thanks. I got enough routes. But I'd like to see some new regions. I really would, but it sounds like that's not going to happen until version 3. As I expected, they were going to run into some issues with version 3. My personal feeling on this, and this is total speculation, it has nothing to do with my time as a beta tester or has nothing to do with non-disclosure agreements or inside information. But my personal feeling is the game engine they are using is going to cause them issues because we're already seeing resource issues right now. Unless the game engine has changed and I don't know about it, I'm assuming the game engine has not changed and they're just maybe rewriting code or doing a whole new thing or whatever. But when they went from version 1 to version 2, yes, a lot of things changed, but it was essentially the same game engine. Unless something is totally changed for version 3, then I suspect they're going to be running into resource issues even more because they're going to try to put so much stuff into this thing. And I understand that they have to do that. This is, again, speculation. I totally understand. I totally get it. They're a small team. Let's cut them some slack. It's just nice that we got a communication. I'm very, very grateful that a communication. We've been getting about once a year communications. Kind of a little bit lower than I would like, but at least, thank you for the holidays. Yes, we're listening. I know they're listening. I know, communication isn't necessarily their best ideal thing, but they do listen to their fans. They do take ideas, so I'll give it to them to that. So, yeah, okay, Clint. By all means, we're not running a password, so yeah, the server goes up. I'll let you know the IP. That's fine. It'll probably be possibly around 7, 8 p.m. in Eastern. I don't know exactly what time. I'm just going to wing it more than likely. But yeah, so but it's interesting to know the information because now I know if I want to push RTS Beta 2 forward to include something that's going to do something with and Clint can have the same perspective for what he's doing. He now knows that he has a year to get whatever. So he's got a pretty good window because he's already developing something. Whereas me, I'm kind of going the other way around. I'm not worried too much about Run 8 so much. I'm actually going a different perspective. I'm going a different way about it. And I'm dealing with the formulas right now. I'm dealing with my feeling of how I want the interfaces to look like, and then I'm more about the yard control systems as opposed to the automation into Run 8. By the time I'm ready to do the Run 8 portion, first of all, I may not even worry about it because the new project that's in the back of my mind, I think, is much more lucrative. I think it's much more financially satisfying. I think it's something that I can pull off. So I'm starting to look at the bigger picture and thinking to myself, okay, it's time to make some real money. As opposed to just doing it for a niche audience that I'm not going to make a cent on. And I'm really not. I'm not putting RTS to make money. So this isn't like even putting a dispatcher program. There's only so many people that are going to do a dispatcher software, as far as I'm concerned, versus Run 8. So yeah, and that's good. And Clint's developing his own. As far as the free side of things, I mean, there's a lot of that out there. So if people are doing it for free, why am I going to even worry about it? It's actually bold for them, for TSCAD to actually charge money, considering external dispatchers out there. But for the value, they do have some good features in it. I do like the one thing I like about the text is that it keeps the text messages, which is really cool. Like I've already criticized what I don't like about it, and the negatives are far worse than the positives in my opinion at this point. They need to change that. They need to look at what external. When I heard the communication system I was actually really looking forward to it. I really was. That was one of the things I expected was going to be really, really good. And I was very disappointed when we got to the communication side of things. Like, what the heck is this? It was a nuisance. The thing was it was horrible. It is, out of all the ways of dispatching, it was the most distractive system. And my only conclusion, as I said, people weren't using text. They were using other voice communications. That's why. So the text message, I don't know. I assume that's why it would do it the way it did, because it was horrible. But yeah, and it isn't a polished project as far as I'm concerned, and it's disappointing for me because one, I should have known better. I should have just said, okay, it's my fault. I take full responsibility for it. I made the purchase. I even made the purchase of LA, which was kind of stupid. I may do something crazier and purchase Cajon just to try to get more into this monster of California, which means I basically, instead of purchasing one extra add-on, I'm actually buying 2 add-ons to go with the default program. But this is for potentially using it once a week, and who's to say? I mean, maybe if I can get a home in the Central Division and that becomes my little toy. Unfortunately, people are going to have to make room for me, which is very kind of them, especially if they have all the routes, and we'll see if they're willing to do it. I'm willing to take on the Central, and then that's something I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with all of that. But what happened? The biggest thing, other than the bugs, what happened with me was, and an unfamiliarity with LA, was that I was dealing with a lot of single track meets, and it was just a freaking mess. I was so stressed out and so out of my element that eventually I just gave up. I had to give up LA. At that point, I was just like, I can't do LA anymore. And I felt bad about it because I can handle territories. I can handle huge territories in TD3. This was just nuts. But no, and you can use external dispatcher, and that is a possibility. But why would I want to use external dispatcher? Well, with the issues going on, perhaps not. But why would I want to use external dispatcher when I just paid money to use this software? Ultimately, I think what's going to have to happen is I'm going to have to use the F3 to intervene if things aren't going to bugger themselves up. I really didn't go into the F3 too much. In fact, I don't think I did it at all. I think other people were looking into it. Um, but I may have to. I don't know. I might have to just keep everything minimized as much as possible, and hopefully, I really don't want to not live stream, quite frankly, but I want to give it exposure, especially if it winds up being highlighting its good points. And I think this software does have potential. I didn't really get into the stacking very much. There was too many issues that started happening. Actually, when the stacking started occurring, and I had it at an expert level because, quite frankly, I'm capable of being an expert in it. I've done it with TD3. Mind you, TD3 doesn't even have the level of being able to have things run time. But when I started having things run time, and then I started hearing that there was trains and blocks that I couldn't remember what trains were where, because they're just like, okay, well, wait a minute. I thought I had a train meeting at Calente, and all of a sudden it wasn't there anymore. And I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe it didn't come there yet because here comes another one. And then I'm told, hey, there's a train in Calente where it's not showing on your screen. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought it was cool. At first, I thought it was cool when you had this verify the block. I thought, okay, it's trying to simulate an actual condition, like an error condition. Like, it seemed like it was a prototypical thing, that it was not getting the right information. And I thought, oh, that's kind of random and interesting if they've added that. I thought, okay, that's fine. It should be an option, but then I thought, okay, well, maybe now this is probably a way to get around to when there's communication issues. And then I had control points flashing at me. Control points aren't supposed to flash, but they started flashing. And it made no sense because nowhere in the manual does it say the control point is supposed to be flashing. Obviously, there's an issue going on at that point. So I think the thing was just buggering. Whether it be a memory leak, I don't know. It was crazy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'd like to give it another try, and like you say, Clint, you don't have to use you don't have to use that. You can switch over to external dispatcher, and yeah, I can just as easily go right into external dispatcher. If it causes too many problems, I just switch into external dispatcher. I'll know my limits, and then I'll be fine. But I do want to try it. I want to give it a shot. I want to be able to give it a try, and hopefully, without having to worry about the interactions between the two territories, that'll keep things a little bit calmer, and it might actually help the software too. But we'll see, because I think once you get into those things where you're starting to do interactions and you got pop-up boxes and people are doing this and that, so yeah, it doesn't work as well as it should. So I have LA. I'll know everything that's going on in LA. In fact, the only place that I wouldn't know when trains are coming would be coming from the Bakersfield sub, or yeah, I would know because the east side would have up to Mineola and down the Needles, so I would have at least the Needles, so I'd know everything's going on there. So Let me just catch up on the chat here before I end the night. Uh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. The train's disappearing, and I either had false negatives or false positives. That was one issue, and it was bad enough. But the control point flashing on me and buggering out where I couldn't even, I was in the middle of trying to get a switch. It wasn't running time. It was acting like it was running time, but it was just totally. Yeah, about 4 to 5 people. Yeah, that's that. I got about 4 to 5 people interested in RTS the way it is right now. I think I have much bigger market share when it will come down to some of the ideas I have in the back of my mind for 2020. If I can really start pushing it by the end of 2020, I got something big that I really, really want to push. I don't consider it a pipe dream either. I'm very serious about it because by the time the end of 2020 comes around, we should be getting version 3. Well, I shouldn't say we should because this thing has been pushed off so many freaking times. Version 3 now for various reasons. So, version 3 was supposed to come out a couple years ago. It's been in development for a long time. They've had physical issues. Obviously, hell, I had a physical issue the other night. I know what that's like. They've had other issues. I don't know what else, personal or whatever. Software issues, running. I don't know if resources, whatever the case may be. It's just nice that they do come around. It seems once a year to let us know what's going on. But what usually happens with me is once a year is a long, long time to go without hearing what's going on. I know there's an update coming as well for that, so that's interesting. But by the time the end of the year comes, you're into the fall. And by the time you're into the fall, you really, the summer, the weather's getting, colder, and you really want to get into something that's going to keep you captivated indoors. And there's that little blah period between the fall and the winter. And this is the update. We start hearing information usually around Christmas, it seems. And that is sometimes I wish it would come just around, say, the beginning of fall, so you kind of get an idea as to what to expect. It's kind of like season premieres of different shows, although I don't watch TV, but for some it's football season, whatever. But fall usually brings upon a renewal of things. And a lot of people are all of a sudden going back. It's a downtime for a lot of people because it's the end of summer, it's the end of everything. That's the kind of thing I'm getting at there. So yeah. Oh, you think you have an idea? I don't know. I haven't been too forthcoming about it. I mentioned it before. No, I mentioned something similar, but I don't know. This is no. There's I don't think I mentioned some things, and partially you might be correct, but it's the other part that's going to blow people away, I think. So the partial, if it has, and again, I mean, I can hint it has to do with dispatching, and there's a market for that. Just alone, if you talk about dispatching and a replacement for let's say train dispatcher without going too far, I'm not actually going the same route of train dispatcher. I'm going a little bit old school, let's say. But there has been, I've given hints of where I wanted to go. Let's just say it's going to it's going to be very simple, but very powerful. I mean very powerful. And I'm not talking about power as in features. I'm talking about power as in features. I'm talking powers in graphics. I'm talking powers of being able to really be um, totally into, unlike any train simulator that I know. So yes, it's going to be on the dispatching side, but it is going to be the most immersive experience that is out there, period. There's nothing that's going to be more immersive without being back in time to that period. And it's a time, it's not modern. It can be. It can very easily be modern with a few changes, but it is going to be the most immersive experience you can get. It's going to blow people's mind away because just I'm so freaking excited about it, and I'm surprised nobody's done it. And you know, it's not that hard. So T-Scat actually was the one that got me thinking about it. And it's got nothing to do with Run 8. It's got nothing to do with competing with T-Scat. I don't care. T-Scat's a drop in the bucket compared to what I'm thinking of. And as far as the prices go, I would charge more than T-Scat for what I'm going to do. Absolutely. But the only big difference there is I'm not going to charge for add-on products because I'm going to have enough revenue coming in that I'm not going to need to do add-ons. People are going to be able to people are going to be able to edit their own things. They're going to be able to do everything that, say, from a dispatcher standpoint, what Microsoft Train Simulator can do. But like I said, this thing is going to blow your mind if I can get it done. All I have to do is get Unreal Engine. Yeah, it'll be Unreal. And it'll also be capable of being run on a console. So, because Unreal is console compatible, it'll be capable. You will not need a computer. People with PlayStations can use it. It will be everywhere. And yeah, it's going to be cool. So, and it's not going to be a Mickey Mouse type thing. It's not going to be it's going to be eye candy and it's going to be eye wide, but it's going to be so freaking practical and it's going to be so authentic. It's just going to blow your mind. And the thing is, I don't have to be a graphic genius to do it. All I have to do is make some good sounds, have some good programming, have some good interaction, and it's hell, just single player alone. This is before even multiplayer. I haven't even touched the surface yet. This thing's going to blow you away. And nobody's thinking about it. And if somebody's thinking about it and hears this live stream and gets ideas, so what? Let's see them do it. They've had a chance. How many people have had a freaking chance to try to compete with Run 8? And I'm not trying to compete with Run 8. I'm going a different way. Let them do the train simulator. Doing a full-fledged train simulator, I'm out of my league to try to do what Run 8 can do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with my strengths and my experience and my knowledge of a certain thing, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to apply all that knowledge, and I'm going to try to get an audience who is getting older and could be dying off pretty soon. No offense, and I'm not saying that. I guess I'm speaking straight candidly. An audience who isn't getting any younger, and they need to see this now. The people who, I mean, we're talking about stuff that's been around for the entire 20th century. We're not talking about CRT screens. This thing's going to blow you away. And it's nothing. I know there are different types of simulators out there that look good and do certain things and are authentic and act like the real thing and blah 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 blah. It don't matter. This thing's gonna blow you away because of what is behind it. So yeah, and modding. There's not gonna be mod. You don't even have to mod. I probably could. I'll open modding. I don't give a damn. I'm gonna sell so many freaking copies. It's gonna, You think TD3? Honestly, I know I sound like I'm shooting, shooting whatever up my ass or whatever. I can't think of the term, but bullshit up your ass. I don't know what the term is, but there's a term. But anyways. And I mean, some people will just say, oh, yeah, look how many times you failed with this project. Well, yeah, that's fine. At least I keep trying. I keep coming back. Something motivates me. Trains are in my blood. Things are different. Man, this is not a quick update. But if I can do this, and I'm confident that I can, I'm confident that at least I got a good shot at it. As long as I can understand the basics, and I might get some help. I might actually get some help out there, Clint. You want to make some money because there's money to be made in this. I can assure you, if you can think of the TD3 franchise, this TD3 franchise is going to be a lot bigger than the TD3 franchise. And TD3 kind of went into abandonware, and it's still very popular today. Just like Microsoft Train Simulator, except on a smaller scale, except the TD3 franchise applies actually to a wider audience, believe it or not. And what you're getting into now could possibly be a franchise that goes on to it's going to be the 21st century version. I don't know. I shouldn't say 21st century. This thing's, I don't know when TD3 came out. That must have been this century. I feel old. Okay, so I'm probably talking too much about it, but I am excited. So when I'm excited, I start shooting my mouth off. Oh, I'm breathing. See, I'm all excited thinking about it. Oh yeah. You can have anything you want in this. In fact, you talk about yards. The crazy thing is once I do this is the start. This is the entry point. What I want to build is just the entry point. This is the confidence booster. This is the money grabber. This program alone, this first big one, is going to generate, if done right and done to what I believe I'm capable of doing, this thing is going to generate such a huge second income for me. Even with, I mean, literally, I'm going to have to pay a pretty hefty fee for both Unreal, probably Unreal, I'm going to have to pay a pretty good percentage. Unreal's going to make some good money out of it. It will probably get greenlit on Steam. It'll be pretty damn impressive. And no, it's not going to be on the level of some of the most popular survival games out there or some of the other things. But I'm not looking to quit my day job. I can do this thing as a secondary income. I'm not looking to quit my day job. Not yet. But once I've done that, once this is in, 2021 comes around. And then by the time 2021 comes around, all I have to do is take the technology that I've already got put in play, and I can adapt it to so many freaking applications. You talk about model railroading. There is. That's the other thing too. This isn't applying to just here's your computer and you're dispatching. Nope. It's going to come into model railroading. It's going to potentially become compatible with Run 8. They're going to have to come to me if they want compatibility, though, because I'm not going to chase them for it. It's going to be there. They want it compatible. I'll have it. I'll have it totally. I'll have open source code. They want to bring compatibility in there. Here it is. Buy the software. You want it. Buy my software. That's all there is to it. You want to be compatible with Run 8. You want to be compatible with this. You want to be compatible with that. That's fine. I'll have it open source. You can here's how you communicate with my software. You just have to buy my software. That's it. And yeah, you might have to go on Steam. You might have to go on this. You might have to do all kinds of things. You won't have to be online to run it, but you're gonna have to. I want the digital downloads. So I'm glad you're there to help. That's cool. We'll see. I have to get some Nanda. What's Freight Yard Manager? Let's see. Freight Yard Manager was another thing that I had on the back of my mind, which still. Let me see here. I gotta catch up. Man, this is these real quick updates. Who the hell am I kidding? I always start yapping about something. You have to be one. I ain't worried about being the chosen few. Run 8's Run 8. Hey, Run 8. I've got my money out of Run 8 a long time ago. I don't have to be chosen anything. I'm not worried about it. I don't need Run 8 to be compatible. Run 8 needs to be compatible with me. And the thing is, I'll be compatible because I'll have open source. All it takes is somebody to say, okay, here it is. Well, how do you communicate with it? Well, this is how you communicate with Sean Software. Well, Sean Software does this. You wanna have something, you write something that handles it, boom, you're in. I'm not gonna adapt my software for Run 8. I could care less. This is bigger than Run 8. Run 8's a drop in the bucket, and that's the way I look at it. Of Train Sim World and Run 8. Yeah, Freight Yard Manager's great, and I do want to go that way, but that's more of a. I'm not too sure. I like that goes into the whole RTS concept. This one is a little bit more money selfish driven, but it would be so rewarding. TD3 was supposed to be able to control model railroads. They can. TD3 still can. TD3 can control model railroads. You just have to. I think you have to. You just have to have the handler software into it. It can do it. Yeah, Freight Yard Manager is FYM, but yeah, Freight Yard Manager's out there. It's the best. It is the best railroad simulator on the planet. Run 8's the best train simulator on the planet. To this day, TD3 still stands to be the best train simulator, train dispatcher on the planet. I intend to be the best something on the planet, but it ain't going to be one of those three. It'll be close to what Train Dispatcher 3 is, but not quite, because I'm going to be a whole different beast. I'm going to pick up something that really not the current technology, but the technology that has been given thus far, or what people are used to dispatching with, is not going to. I'm probably shooting myself, like I said, shooting stuff up my ass, and then I probably am potentially blowing a huge idea out into the public without saying it. But that means I got to get on this project real soon. But let's just say it's Just to be on a screen, it ain't happening. It ain't gonna happen. Sure, you're gonna see it on the screen, but it ain't gonna be on the screen. It's gonna be everywhere. Um, yeah. If you think, and I don't get me wrong, Run 8 is very immersive. So is Train Sim World is very immersive too, to a certain extent. So Train Sim World is immersive because of the eye candy. Run 8 is immersive because of the simulation. This is going to be immersive. It's going to be very easy to be able to be not only the best immersive experience both from a practical standpoint but from a visual standpoint and from a environment standpoint. There's going to be nothing like it. I kid you not. When it happens and when it's actually developed and I'm able to do this live stream hopefully in 2020, it's not going to be early on. It'll be ready when it's ready, as they always say. But when I get ready to do a world premiere and announce the launch, it's gonna happen. It'll happen on a live stream. I will announce it everywhere. I will publicize it. I will start handing out keys. I will do whatever I have to do to publicize this thing. But when it happens, they're gonna see what I'm seeing. It's just, and I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's ass here. I really am not. It's just that simple. Because I don't think people are thinking what I'm thinking. At least not quite. The more I shoot my mouth off like this, I'm probably going to give it away because I don't know when to keep my mouth shut. That's my problem. But eventually I'll keep my mouth shut. And maybe I should just shut my mouth now and just let it sink in. And if people come up with the idea, I don't care if people figured out the idea or what. I'm not going to confirm anything. But put it this way: there should have been a competitor to Run 8 a long time ago. Niche market didn't happen. TD3 niche market didn't happen. There's been so much opportunity for a replacement, and it has not happened. Yeah, there's been some people that were going to do it. TD3 shouldn't be TD3 should be the easiest one. That's not a big deal. You take a look at what's done in TSCAD. If you just adapt a few things and make it a little bit more user-friendly, I think, or a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more visually nice, I guess, is the word. It's kind of visually blocky, kind of weird. I don't know. I can't explain it. TSCAD's pretty cool. It just comes when I compared to TD3. TD3 looks more polished from a visual perspective than TSCAD. But regardless of that, even if that was polished or whatever, they should be able to have a replacement for TD3 a long time ago. They never did. TD3 was one of the most successful things, and it became abandonware. Microsoft Train Simulator, ditto. I mean, it was easy to replicate it, and we've had other ones that have come out. And yeah, we had the ones that looked like they were going to compete with Run 8. Even Train Sim World looked like it was going to compete with Run 8 for a while. It didn't happen. So, but yeah, I want to put it all together too. This is part of my grander scale of things. Everything's going to have the RTS brand name with it. This is going to have the RTS brand name with it. This is part of the RTS. This is part of the railroad transportation system. Or simulator system, whatever. It's all part of that system. It's all going to be part of each other in one way or another. Whether it's compatible with each other, whether compatible with other software, whether it has its own whether it has its own, I can't think of the word, protocol, it's going to have its own way of communicating with each other. And for the longest time, I was going to focus entirely on AI. Put it this way, the way I'm looking at this launch right now of this big little secret that I want to tell so bad because I'm so freaking excited about it, the way it's going to happen is I'm going to launch one piece of software with free updates. And I'm just going to keep on free updating it like crazy. And the reason why I'm going to keep free updating it is because I'm going to increase my buys by doing it. I've seen it proven in various genres all over, Steam Workshop, you name it. When people give a lot of content updates, free updates, stay in communication with the community, consider ideas, communicate with the community, let them know what's happening, they become very appreciative of and supportive of the people behind it, and they will end up buying. And they will get more people buying. My target audience, believe it or not, are the retired railroad workers. That's my target audience. I want them. Do you know why I want them? They got the money. And I'm not saying I want to take money from a bunch of old men and women. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they have the money to spend. They're willing to spend it. They want to relive. I know. I mean, Scott's not a dispatcher, but Scott, for example, I know he wants to relive part of his past. This is why he's into simulators. And I want to establish one. I want to be. That's my target audience. I want the people who worked in the 20th century with these systems that I'm about to produce. I want them to know, hey, here's the simulator that brings it back to life. It's here. And not only is it here, but it's going to utilize the biggest things that are out there right now that you can get. And it's going to be all part of one package. And it could be all just with it, just like that. Boom, you got it. Here it is. Welcome back. It's like stepping into a time machine because it's going to feel that real. It's actually going to feel that real. It's going to be, for me, programming it and getting into it is going to be going back into videos of what I've seen. It's just like, hey, this is what I've seen on videos, which are very few and far between, I might add. But I've seen some videos and I meant, man, it'd be so great to be in that time. Well, guess what? I'm going to create it because it's going to be that time. I'm gonna make my own little freaking time machine. And maybe people are gonna worry about 3D simulators and all this other stuff and whatever. They're gonna worry about bigger projects. Go ahead. Mine's gonna be simple. It's gonna have a simple thing to do, and that's gonna be it. So yeah, breathe. I gotta breathe. So yeah, I ain't going anywhere. I can tell you that much. Run 8 be Run 8. I'll keep playing around with Run 8. That keeps me going. Run 8 keeps me going. Run 8 keeps me, because I don't like programming. But then that's the thing. I'm a procrastinator. I don't like programming. I like creating though. I like coming up with ideas. I like, being able to. So as long as I can do most of the work myself, which I think I can, or at least I can sure as hell get it to a point. But we'll find out. We'll find out what I can get, how far I can push it on my own first, and then once I have a pretty much beta down or an alpha, it wouldn't be a beta, it would be an alpha. Once I have an alpha down and I can trust certain people, then the non-disclosure agreements will start going out, and that's when I start letting people in. I'll let people in slowly, and then we'll say, okay, if I need this, do you want to do this? If I need that, do you want to do this? Sign on the dotted line. Let me know. I get the sign. I get the legal. I'll have the legal binding on it. That's all it's gonna. It's nothing personal. Even people who I consider, relatively close or whatever within the community, I'm gonna get them sign non-disclosure agreements to protect my ass and to protect my intellectual property. It's that serious. And once it's there, it's like, okay, let's party. And 2020 is going to be a huge year for it. And I think it's going to be a good investment opportunity for those that, if I don't do it by myself, I may do it totally on my own, to be quite honest. I really want to. But if I feel as though I'm missing something and I need to bring those people on board, I'll do it. I won't hesitate. Of course, I want it all for myself, but hey, I'm willing to share it. I'm going to make enough money off this damn thing. It doesn't matter. It's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. It's not all about the money either. I know I sound greedy and say it's all about the money. It's really not about the money so much. It's about getting a residual income, and I want the residual income. Doesn't matter what the residual income is. Once you build one, then the next one is just around the corner. And believe me, this is going to become a franchise. But it's going to become a franchise not in the way you would expect. This franchise of RTS is not about bringing a next simulator like, what is it? Trains does it. Trains is like, what is it, like 2K Sports or whatever? Every year they come out with a new... Just because they improve the rosters and change a few features, all of a sudden everybody's got to buy it, and a lot of people do. No, this ain't it. I'm not going to bring out a new version every year. What I'm going to bring out is a new simulator every year under some of the same techniques and same concepts and a lot of the same code. Because this code can actually, the technology that's here actually can be applied to so many freaking applications. And we're talking about a technology that existed in the 20th century. It could be applied to so many things, and it was applied to so many things. It's going to be all over the damn place, because back then you didn't have computers. You had electronics. Big difference. Because when electronics were around, everything was based on a standard, and everything was based on repetitive functionality. You had so many railroads that used the same equipment, that used the same stuff, and they all had to communicate with one another because there were so many interlockings, so many things that had to communicate with one another. Not only is that going to make my software easier to program for various applications, but it's also going to allow me to communicate with anybody else who wants to communicate with my software. It's just going to be that simple. It's friggin', there's nothing like it in the train simulator world. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yeah, I know I'm getting excited. I gotta calm down. I gotta get to sleep in an hour. I'm gonna be all excited again. Whew. Yeah, so much for a quick update. I was just saying I was doing okay, guys. I was a little bummed out. With T-Scat. I was like, oh man. I gotta get my mind off of T-Scat, start focusing on other things. But yeah, no, anyways, I'm fine. I got a snack about an hour ago. I didn't even dig into it because I was started getting off on this damn thing. Holy crap. Woo, calm down. So, yeah, customer service, be responsive and generous to your customers. I love coding even though I'm not a professional at it. I'm self-taught and still teaching myself. Yeah, I'm kind of self-taught myself for the most part. I mean, I did stuff in school, but I'm not. I'm more of a creator. I'm more of. I'm more of. Let me get into this thing. I want it now. I'm the type of person that just wants it now. I want everything now. I want it all. I just, I want to play. I want to play. I want to make money. I just want things to happen. It's not that I'm not dedicated, and it's not that I don't have, um, you know, work ethics or willing to do the work and the grind. I just don't want to go through the tough, boring parts. I mean, these poor guys. I feel for Run 8 to developing the software for as long as they have, and them not being able to enjoy the fruits of their labors as much as possible. I want to enjoy this. When I create this thing, holy crap. Or we create it, or whoever the hell it is that's on my team. Hopefully, the smaller the better. I do not want to have a big team. I want this. I want this either myself, my son, and I. I would love this to become the launching pad for my son, if he wants it. If he wants, and he's excited about this too. If this becomes the launching pad for my son at the age of 11, he's made for life. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if he's made for life, but he becomes an entrepreneur by the time he's 18, because now he's in the software business because he's in with me, and then he can take over for me and keep up with the latest technology, because guess what? I'm already going to be on the cutting edge of technology. And I know I keep on saying that. I'm going to give it away so bad. It's so easy. All people have to do is put two and two together. They'll put it all together and say, okay, hey, what's the latest? What's the latest and greatest? Well, there you go. Boom. It's there. It's not going to be your typical simulator. It's not going to be your typical whatever you think of the latest and greatest things are, because I've seen a lot of what the supposed latest and greatest things are, and they look wonky as you know what. This ain't going to be that. This is going to be absolutely beautiful and real, and it's going to make sense. Everything's going to make sense with this, and it's going to be authentic. The only thing I'm not going to have in this thing is I'm going to have all the audio. I'm going to have all the visual. I'm going to have all the environment. The only thing I'm not going to have is the smell of the grease on the tracks on the outside, and maybe maybe some fried circuits in the back of the room. I don't know. It's going to be awesome. Maybe. That's the least of my version 2. I don't know. Clint's working on something though. He's probably going to beat me to it. I'm gonna diddly daddle around with version 2. I think. I don't think I'm version 2. Version 2 is not a moneymaker for me, and it's more of a hobby. Kind of always has been. Anyways, I'm starting to eat my cereal bar as it melts in my hand, so I'm gonna end this now before I stuff my face anymore. I haven't even started, but so yeah. Thanks for coming out, guys. Hopefully that whets your appetite to what's coming, but it ain't gonna be Run 8, and it's not gonna be for everybody, but it'll bring on more things, and eventually it will probably come around. It's gonna take a while, but if I grow a team large enough, or am able to have rapid growth, and I'm able to reinvest some of that money and bring on some key people, then who knows? I may have a studio by the time my son has. By the time my son's 18, he might have his own studio. I think we're on the cusp of something. Maybe I'm thinking way too far in advance, and maybe I'm taking way too positive. But literally, a studio may be on the maybe this could be the groundbreaking of a studio. It could be that impressive if this concept and this actually plays out. This concept's been around for in some form now. It's been around for Jeez. It's got to be over 10 years now RTS has been a concept, at least. This wasn't quite the way I thought it was going to come around. I wasn't even sure which way I was going to approach this. I was going to go with the freight yard manager thing. I was going to go. There's so many different ways I want. I want everything to communicate with everything. I want everything. I want every single aspect of a railroad to be simulated, to be capable of AI, to be capable of multiplayer, to be capable of everything. Single player, multiplayer, AI, you name it. Doesn't matter how many people you have in a session. Doesn't matter how many people you know. Doesn't matter how many buddies you have. Doesn't matter if you're, if you're in a, the luckity doo club, and you're one of the cool guys that get to hang out with all the cool guys on the cool server. It don't matter. You can be on the cool guys of the cool server and enjoy this too, or you can be just dorks like us on RTS that are just mishmashing around and might get a few people on a session. Doesn't matter, because we're still going to have the same capable amount of real as real as it gets, as they say. This is as real as it gets. Is a nice little catch. I'd have to come up with something. I'll come up with something. I don't know what it is going to be, but this is this is going to be reality to the reality cube. Reality cube? Reality 3? I don't know. That's probably taken as a trademark somewhere, but railroad reality? I don't know. Rail reality? That's a good one. Who knows? I'm not going to worry about trademarks. RTS is already there. So you're trying to steer me away before I spill the beans. Oh, ha 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 ha. I'm not spilling no beans. Even if I do, the bottom line is people have to have the same passion as I do, and the willingness to go through to do it. They don't have that. Nobody has that. Nobody has this in their. Nobody has this on their mind, or there's the list of to-do things. Because if that was the case, I would have already heard a buzz about this. I haven't heard a buzz about anything like this. Nobody wants to live in the 20th century. The 20th century is so old now. And computers is kind of a young man's thing. I'm 47. And I was very young when these systems were in play. So young that I never got a chance to actually see one in person in real life work. So this is something that was around when I was young, but I never got to experience. I only got to experience it in more recent years when YouTube videos surfaced of some of these activities. And then you see stuff that's in Model Railroaders. You got to know what they were like because they were in Model Railroader magazine. You got to know what how things operated. But even the best model railroad interface programs can't touch this. They just can't. Nothing can touch this. At least not yet. I plan to touch it, but we'll see. We'll see how well I can push this thing forward. But I gotta get some more information. Still, I'm in an information gathering phase right now, and once I've got all that, I'm gonna have a lot of time in the summer. So maybe somewhere around that time, I got a funny feeling next summer we might be seeing it. I'm not saying that for sure, but got a funny feeling. Don't be surprised around July of 2020. Just got a funny feeling, but I don't know. Okay, I'm done. Have a good one. Might be back. Might be back sometimes Sunday. Sunday afternoon, evening, something like that. We'll see. I might post more. We'll see, but I get the kiddo tomorrow, so last day of the work week, and then enjoy our weekend. So have a good weekend, everybody, and I'll see you back on Sunday. Have a good one. Take care.